before we continue with the rest of the video, we could use your help. Click the like button to help spread word about Watchjojo animals, and also be sure to subscribe and click the notification bell so you don't miss our future videos.
When Hurricane Matthew hit, a neighbor heard desperate cries coming from this septic hole. The aftermath of a hurricane often leaves survivors in terrible situations. This poor pooch, for example, was trapped in a septic hole and in desperate need of help. Thankfully, though, his cries would not go unanswered. Hurricane Matthew was the most lethal Atlantic storm since 2005, tragically claiming the lives of hundreds of people. The destructive storm began its journey from Africa on September 22, 2016, when it started as a tropical depression. From there, it grew to become a devastating force. In fact, by the time it had reached the Caribbean Sea on September 28th, the tropical depression had turned into a storm, at which point it became known as Matthew. Then, just a day later, Matthew turned into a full-blown hurricane. The hurricane subsequently swept across the western Atlantic. Along the way, it tore over Haiti, the Bahamas, Cuba, the Dominican Republic, and parts of southeastern United States and Canada. Its effects were catastrophic and deadly, especially in poverty-ridden Haiti. In Haiti, no accurate death toll is available, but the estimated range falls between 300 and over 1,000 fatalities. Whatever the correct number is, though, Matthew undoubtedly claimed a massive number of victims. In the United States, meanwhile, 46 fatalities have been reported. The storm hit North Carolina particularly hard. In fact, the state suffered an estimated $1.5 billion in structural damage, according to reports. In addition, at least 5 million farm animals there died in the hurricane. But even in the midst of such tragedy, there was hope. For instance, people sent aid to places that needed assistance, and rescue groups worked overtime. One such organization that put in a tremendous effort was the Bahamas Humane Society, BHS. On October 12, 2016, about a week after Matthew ripped its way over the Bahamas, one survivor still needed rescuing. Fortunately, a local woman heard his cries and called the nonprofit Bahamas Humane Society, based in Nassau. The organization promptly sent a search and rescue team. What they found, though, managed to astound even the rescuers. Yes, a terrified dog looked at them from an open sewer hole filled with fetid water. He was soaked and bedraggled, but alive. So the team jumped into action. Within minutes, Ventoy Bethune, a BHS ambulance driver, had the waterlogged dog free of its hole. A closer inspection showed that the dog had clearly suffered during his time in the sewer. In fact, it seemed that the stray may have been struggling for a long time, even before the hurricane. Aptly named Matthew, this severely malnourished pooch had small cuts and scratches all over his body. But that's not all. No, Matthew's legs were so swollen that he was just barely managing to stay standing. Even worse, BHS spokesperson Lisa McComb speculated that Matthew wasn't there by accident. That's because abandoned dogs are a big problem in the Bahamas. Indeed, McComb wouldn't have been surprised if someone had ditched the dog intentionally. Of course, it's impossible to know for sure how long Matthew was trapped in the fetid waters, but chances are good that he'd weathered the whole storm from there. In fact, the very fact that he'd survived the storm shocked his rescuers. "We found him right after the storm. It was amazing he survived the flooding," McComb said. And yet, even after such a traumatic experience, Matthew showed nothing but affection for his rescuers. "As we brought him into our shelter, he started to wag his tail," McComb told the dodo. Once in the safe hands of BHS, then, Matthew began to recuperate. Of course, first he needed to take a bath. Yes, having been trapped in the stinking sewage for so long, the drenched dog was in desperate need of a good scrub. As BHS staff cleaned and groomed him, though, Matthew proved to be a patient pooch. He even sat still for an ear cleaning, something that makes most dogs very uncomfortable. And though it hasn't been long, the staff at BHS are already seeing rapid improvements in Matthew's health. Since his rescue, for instance, the swelling in Matthew's legs is reduced, but it may be some time before he's running on his own four paws again. For now, then, he's taking it easy and still only eating his meals lying down. Thankfully, the recovering rougher's appetite is only growing. Yes, the skinny dog is making up for lost time and relishing his meals. And with the help BHS receives from food donations, it looks like Matthew won't go hungry again. Ultimately, the hope is that Matthew will find a loving forever home. But the BHS is going to keep the plucker under observation until he's up ready for adoption. Understandably, Matthew still has some healing to do. Indeed, much of the Atlantic region is still reeling from the punch of Hurricane Matthew. Under such circumstances, it's good news to hear the story of the dog named Matthew. And thanks to the Bahamas Humane Society, this rescued pooch can now look forward to his happily ever after. Please don't forget to share this video with your friends.
Please do not forget to subscribe and activate the bell to receive everything that is new.